The Lori Slesinki case has been shrouded in mystery and intrigue for years. It all started in a small town in the middle of nowhere. The kind of town where everyone knows everyone else's business, or so they thought. Lori was a young woman who had always been something of an enigma, even to those closest to her. No one could quite put their finger on what made Lori so different. Some said it was the way she carried herself, always with an air of mystery and intrigue. Others whispered that there was something dark lurking beneath the surface, something that she was desperately trying to keep hidden. Then one day, Lori vanished without a trace. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a trail of unanswered questions. Hello and welcome to Dark Secrets, your channel dedicated to exploring some of the most fascinating and haunting crimes in American history. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out. Lori Slesinki was a young woman with her whole life ahead of her. She was just 24 years old, working as a nurse at the local hospital. She had a kind heart and a gentle spirit, loved by all who knew her. But her life was cut short when she vanished without a trace. The last anyone had seen of Lori was on CCTV footage, leaving her home in Auburn with her loyal dog Peanut by her side. But where she was going or why remained a mystery. The footage was grainy and unclear, making it impossible to determine her destination. As the days passed, Lori's friends and family grew increasingly worried. They searched high and low, but there was no sign of her. The police launched an investigation, but leads were scarce. The more they dug, the more mysterious the case became. It was as if Lori had simply vanished into thin air. Some say that she had been acting strangely in the days before her disappearance, as if she was afraid or hiding something. Others say that she seemed perfectly normal, with no signs of distress or unusual behavior. One person of interest was a man who had been seen in the area around the time of Lori's disappearance. He was described as tall and thin, with a scruffy beard and a shifty demeanor. Some witnesses claimed to have seen him lurking around Lori's house in the days before she vanished. Another suspicious activity was the discovery of Lori's car, abandoned in a remote location miles away from her home. It was a strange place for her car to be, and it raised questions about why it had been left there and who might have moved it. Despite these clues, the investigation went nowhere. The police could not find any concrete evidence to tie anyone to Lori's disappearance, leaving her family and friends to wonder what had happened to her. It all started on June 9, 2006, when Rick Ennis ran out of gas. He called a friend to bring a gas tank to fill up his car, but when he asked to take an empty gas can, his friend refused. It was a seemingly insignificant detail at the time, but it would later become a piece of a much larger puzzle. The next day, June 10th, was the last time that Lori Slesinki was seen by her friends and family. No one could have imagined that it would be the last time they would ever lay eyes on her. On June 13th, Arlene Slesinki, Lori's mother, reported her daughter missing. It was then that Auburn police officer Lee Hodge discovered something strange. The door to Lori's mobile home looked splintered. The investigation began, and Ennis was brought in for questioning. The following day, on June 14th, Officer Randy Armstrong searched Ennis' 1993 Dodge Intrepid, which he had bought from Slesinki just a day before she went missing. Inside the car were a number of suspicious items, including 2 tiki torches, Clorox cleaning spray, flare bottles, shoe polish, 2 bottles of air fresheners, Febreze, growing formula, bathroom cleaner, pH test, a cloth, and a cleaning brush. On June 15th, Auburn detective Charles Buckner took a swab of blood from inside Slesinki's mobile home. And then, just 2 days later, on June 17th, Lori's 2005 Mazda Tribute was found burned to the frame off of DeKalb Street in Auburn. Officers also found a gas tank in the nearby woods. Officer Hodge discovered a partially burned hand-rolled cigarette in the area, and it was then that the pieces started to fall into place. DNA from the blood on Slesinki's door matched DNA samples that Ennis had given to the police. It also matched semen found on Slesinki's bed sheets. The night she disappeared was supposed to be a night of relaxation and girl time for Lori Slesinki. She had planned to visit her best friend Lindsay Braun for drinks and a movie at her home. Braun eagerly awaited her friend's arrival, but as the hours ticked by, she grew more and more concerned. Finally, Lori called to say she had stopped at the store and would be over soon, but she never showed up. The next day, Braun's worry turned to panic as she called Lori's house repeatedly with no answer. It wasn't until Monday that the full gravity of the situation became clear. Lori had not shown up for work at the local mental health facility where she and Braun were both employed. But what happened during those fateful hours after Lori left the store? Police later recovered Walmart surveillance footage, the last known image of Lori Slesinki, that showed she had made it to the store. But what transpired after that remains a mystery. During that phone call, Braun heard Rick Ennis, a friend of Lori's, in the background. Was he involved in her disappearance? As the investigation unfolded, Ennis was brought in for questioning and his vehicle was searched. Inside, police found a shocking array of items: 2 tiki torches, Clorox cleaning spray, flare bottles, shoe polish, 2 bottles of air fresheners, Febreze, growing formula, bathroom cleaner, pH test, a cloth, and a cleaning brush. Lori Slesinski's disappearance had haunted the small town of Auburn for over a decade. The case had gone cold, with no leads, no suspects, and no body. But the mystery took a sinister turn when investigators began to focus on one man, Rick Ennis. Ennis was known to the police, with a past that was checkered with petty crimes and misdemeanors. But it wasn't until Lori's disappearance that Ennis became the prime suspect. He had been with Lori on the night she vanished, and his alibi was shaky at best. And then there were the items found in his car: tiki torches, cleaning supplies, and air fresheners. Despite mounting suspicion, police had no direct evidence to charge Ennis with Lori's murder. He moved away from Auburn shortly after being interviewed by police, leaving the case to go cold. But in 2016, a special agent with the Alabama State Bureau of Investigation decided to take a fresh look at Lori's case. Mark Whitaker and his partner, Agent J.W. Barnes, discovered an important piece of evidence that had been overlooked before. Ennis DNA had been found in semen on Lori's bedsheets and blood on the interior of her front door. Finally, prosecutors had enough to charge Ennis with Lori's murder. They located him living in Pilot, Virginia, where he was engaged to a school librarian and working for a company that made portable living structures. After Ennis was arrested, a man named Terry Booth came forward claiming that Ennis had told him he had to get rid of a bee. More evidence tied Ennis to the scene of the crime, including a cigarette butt that matched his DNA. Finally, after years of waiting, the trial of Rick Ennis began in March 2022. The jury deliberated for 2 days before finding Ennis guilty of Lori's murder. While he initially faced the death penalty, Lori's mother Arlene agreed to take that off the table in exchange for a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Judge Walker sentenced Ennis to life in prison, ensuring that he would never be free again. Despite the closure that Lori's family and friends received with Ennis' conviction, the case still left the town of Auburn with many questions. What drove Ennis to commit such a heinous crime? What did he do with Lori's body? Thank you for watching this video. We would like to read your own speculations in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.